Scroll through the comments on almost any money video, and you'll see the same argument come up again and again. Does your house really count in your net worth? Some people say it absolutely does. Others say it's meaningless unless you sell it. And the debates can get surprisingly heated. The reason this question never goes away is because people are actually talking about two different things without realizing it. One side is talking about wealth, the other is talking about security. And when those two ideas get mixed together, the answer starts to feel confusing, emotional, and personal. Your house is a massive part of your financial life. For many people, it's the biggest number they'll ever see attached to their name. So when someone suggests it might not mean what they think it means, it can feel like the rules are being rewritten halfway through the game. But the quiet truth is this: the problem isn't whether your house counts. The problem is what you're counting it for. Because there's one number that's useful for measuring progress, and another number that determines how safe you actually are. And until those two numbers are separated, this debate will never make sense. So before we talk about where a house fits in, we need to step back and clarify what net worth is really measuring, and what it isn't. Section 1. Why net worth feels bigger than it actually is. Net worth has a way of making people feel safer than they really are. You add up everything you own, subtract what you owe, and the number looks impressive on paper, especially once a house enters the picture. Suddenly, your net worth jumps by hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes overnight, without your daily life changing at all. That's because net worth is a snapshot, not a cash flow test. It tells you what you own in theory, not what you can actually use in practice. A paid-off home might push your net worth well into 7 figures, but it doesn't help you pay for groceries, utilities, or healthcare unless you take an extra step. This is where the illusion forms. A large net worth number can create a sense of arrival. It feels like you're financially secure simply because the math says so. But nothing about your monthly reality has changed. You still need income. You still need liquidity. You still need money that moves. And that's the key disconnect. Net worth measures ownership, not access. It rewards big assets, even when those assets are locked up and unusable for daily life. That's why two people with the same net worth can live completely different financial realities. Once you see that difference, it becomes clear why this debate around housing never settles. People aren't wrong about the math. They're just answering the wrong question. Section 2. The difference between wealth and security. Wealth and security sound similar, but they serve different purposes. Wealth describes what you own. Security describes what actually supports your life. Wealth grows as you accumulate assets over time. A house can dramatically increase that number, even if nothing about your day-to-day finances changes. That's how someone can look wealthy on paper while still feeling financially stretched. Security is more practical. It cares about consistency and access. Can your assets cover expenses if your income stops? Can they handle surprises without forcing major decisions? This is where home equity creates confusion. A house can raise your net worth, but it doesn't automatically reduce financial stress. The value sits quietly in the background while your monthly bills keep coming. Once you separate wealth from security, it becomes clear why one number feels reassuring and the other actually determines how safe you are. Section 3. Why a house is an asset, but not a spending asset. A house is absolutely an asset. It has value. It can appreciate over time. And for many people, it becomes the largest part of their net worth. The confusion starts when that value is treated the same way as money you can actually spend. Unlike cash or investments, a house doesn't produce income by default. You can't withdraw a few $1,000s from your living room to cover expenses. To turn home equity into usable money, you have to take an extra step. You either sell, borrow against it, or restructure your living situation. Each of those choices comes with trade-offs. Selling means finding somewhere else to live. Borrowing means taking on debt and new monthly payments. Even options like reverse mortgages reduce future flexibility. None of these feel effortless in the way a portfolio withdrawal does. That's why a house functions more like stored value than working capital. It can support long-term wealth, but it doesn't automatically support day-to-day life. The asset is real, but the spending power is delayed. Once you see that distinction, the argument shifts. The question is no longer whether your house counts. It's whether it belongs in the same category as the assets you rely on for income and flexibility. Section 4. The number that actually matters in retirement. In retirement, the number that truly matters isn't your total net worth. It's the amount of money that can reliably turn into income without forcing major life changes. That number is your investable assets. Cash, retirement accounts, brokerage investments, anything that can be accessed, withdrawn, and adjusted without selling your home or taking on debt. This is the pool of money that pays the bills, covers healthcare, and gives you flexibility when life changes. Two people can have the same net worth and live completely different retirements. One might have most of their wealth tied up in a paid-off house. The other might hold the majority in investments. On paper, they look equal. In real life, one has income and options, while the other has value locked behind walls. This is why retirement planning quietly shifts from "how much am I worth" to "how much can my money produce." Monthly cash flow matters more than big headline numbers. Stability comes from assets that work without requiring permission, timing, or major sacrifices. Once you understand this, the focus naturally changes. You stop chasing a bigger net worth number and start building a portfolio that supports your life, not just your balance sheet. Section 5. 2 net worth numbers everyone should track. This is where a lot of confusion clears up. The mistake most people make is trying to force one number to do 2 different jobs. The first number is your total net worth. This includes everything you own minus everything you owe. Your home counts here. This number is useful for tracking long-term progress and overall wealth. It answers the question, am I moving forward compared to 5 or 10 years ago? The second number is your investable net worth. This excludes your primary residence and focuses only on assets that can actually generate income or be accessed without disrupting your life. Think retirement accounts, brokerage accounts, savings, and cash equivalents. This number answers a much more important question. How secure am I if my income stops? Tracking both gives you clarity instead of false confidence. A rising total net worth feels good. A rising investable net worth creates real security. When you separate the two, you stop overestimating how safe you are and start building the kind of wealth that actually supports your lifestyle. This simple shift turns net worth from a vanity metric into a practical planning tool. Section 6. Why this distinction changes how you feel about money. Once you separate net worth from investable assets, something subtle but powerful happens. Your relationship with money becomes calmer and more honest. When everything is lumped into one big number, it's easy to feel wealthy on paper but stressed in real life. You might look successful, yet still worry about missing a paycheck or handling an unexpected expense. That tension comes from confusing ownership with security. But when you focus on investable net worth, clarity replaces anxiety. You know exactly how much flexibility you have. You understand what can support you, what can't, and why. That clarity reduces fear and helps you make better decisions, from career moves to spending to retirement timing. Most importantly, this distinction shifts your goal. You stop chasing bigger numbers just to feel rich, and you start building assets that buy peace of mind. And that's when money stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like support. Section 7. What financially secure people quietly understand. People who are truly financially secure don't argue much about definitions. They understand, often without saying it out loud, that not all dollars are equal. They know the difference between wealth that looks impressive and wealth that actually supports their life. A paid-off home feels good, but it doesn't replace income. A rising net worth feels validating, but only liquid, income-producing assets create real freedom. That's why financially secure people focus less on headlines and comparisons and more on structure. They build assets that can be used, adjusted, and relied on. They track what generates cash flow, not just what inflates their balance sheet. Quietly, they stop asking, "Am I rich yet?" and start asking, "If I needed to, could I step back tomorrow?" That shift in thinking is what separates looking wealthy from actually being secure. So, should you count your house in your net worth? The quiet answer is yes, but know what problem it solves. Your home matters. It reflects stability, progress, and long-term discipline. But it's not the number that pays the bills, covers healthcare, or buys you time. That role belongs to your investable assets, the part of your wealth that actually shows up when life asks something from you. That's why the debate misses the point. It's not about choosing one number over the other. It's about understanding what each number is for. One measures progress, the other measures security. If you want real peace of mind, track both, and build the one that gives you options. If this helped clarify something you've been unsure about, subscribe to the channel. We break down the financial truths most people never explain clearly. And if you know someone still stuck in the house's wealth debate, share this with them. Sometimes clarity is the most valuable asset of all.